So greetings from Pennsylvania once again. We're still up here at Lycoming County. We just did the Fraser Covered Bridge. Now we're up in what I believe is Loyalsock State Forest. And we're headed to our first CCC camp. I know some time ago, maybe last month or so, I did an intro video. I mentioned that we're going to try and get to as many of the CCC camps as we can here in Pennsylvania. And if you want to know what the CCC was, I did in that intro video I kind of talked about what the CCC was. And of course the CCC was a civilian conservation corps created during the 30s by President Roosevelt during the Great Depression. But the one we're headed to here is Camp S-145-PA. Or often referred to as a Sand Springs camp. In fact, this is Sand Springs Road. I believe there's a camping area up there right now, so we're gonna head up there shortly. In fact, right here is a sign for it, Sand Springs Road, going up this way, so that's where we're gonna be headed. This was Little Bear Creek Road. But one thing I want to point out too is many of those CCC camps, they did various different projects, but a lot of the projects they did was to build these roads through the state forests. So this road hit up here was most likely built by the CCC boys, amongst other projects that they did, which we'll talk about up there. So let's head up Sand Spring Road. So like I said, this is most likely built by the CCC boys back in the 30s, probably around 35, 36. I actually have the dates written down on my notebook. We'll check that later. So I've never been up here before, but I think there is a state forest camping area up here. Yeah, I can see the loop on my GPS. I think that's where we're headed. There's a loop up there. I think that's where we're headed to. I'm not sure if there's going to be any remains of the camp up here. Some of these old CCC camps have foundations or even buildings left, but some have nothing. But there's a topic I want to discuss up here too, which someone kind of mentioned in a comment, which I found kind of interesting, and it kind of grew on my mind a little bit. So I have some thoughts about it. It's beautiful back here though. My windshield's probably dirty though. You see how this road, building this road was no easy task. When you see it, the hillside comes down, then the road, and it drops down again. So they had to cut through this hillside to make this road. It was busy work, tough work. That's what they did, and they got paid, what was it, like $30 a month or something? That got sent home to their families. Alright, so I think we're coming up to that loop that you see on the map there. I think this is where the camping is. If there would be any remains, I don't know. But walk around a little bit. If there's no one camping, I don't really disturb anybody if people are camping either. Well, there is like a little building up there. I don't know if that's CCC related or not. Looks like someone's private camp. I don't know. Maybe we'll take a look at that later. Let's go up here. Like I said, there's people camping. I don't want to be disturbing anybody, but we'll go around this way. There's that back side of that building back there. Yeah, just keep my eyes open from the Jeep here. We'll get out and walk around a little bit too soon. I couldn't find any information online if there was anything left up here or not, building wise. I don't really see much in the way of campsites either. Well, I'll check my map in a bit. We're not gonna go up that way. I have my state forest map too. We'll look at in a moment. Oh, here's one of the camping areas, maybe. Oh, but here's some. Oh, that's like foundation right there. Let's get out and take a look at this. I'll just pull over right here. Oh, here's the sign. Here's the sign for it. Okay, cool. Alright, so here we are. This is the way we came in. There's the camp. I see a foundation right there. Just backed up into here. But yeah, site of Sand Spring Camp, S-145, 1935 to 1937. In recognition of the outstanding efforts in conserving the natural resources of Pennsylvania. Cool. So I have some dates on here though too somewhere. Look at all my scribble notes. Where did I have some dates? I thought I did somewhere. Anyway, but yeah, roughly 1935 to 1937. Somewhere I had some more specific dates. I think it was July of 37 to October of, well, July, it doesn't matter. July of 35 to October of 37, maybe something like that, but yeah. And the other one we're going to today is S-126, known as the Bodine Camp. That one was built first, and a lot of the boys, or the companies, they were in companies, they were in companies, they were called. The one was Company 367. A lot of them over at the Bodine Camp, when they were done there, they came here to the Sand Spring Camp. So, but if you're interested in where I'm at, I have the Purple Lizard map here for Loyal Sock State Forest. Yeah, down here is Williamsport. We're all the way up here to Sand Spring CCC Camp. So I just came over right here's Little Bear Creek. I just came over from 860. There's Huntersville, 864. Made our way up. Looks like there's multiple campsites up here. So yeah, that's where we are. So let's walk around just a little bit. I think I see a building. A stone building up there. Maybe we'll see that as we go around this loop. But yeah, look, there's a foundation here. Right, one of the CCC buildings. Definite foundation. What campsite number is this? This is number 12, it looks like. So yeah, what building this was, I don't really know, but there might have been multiple buildings through here. Sometimes when they initially came to these camps, they had to live in tents before like barracks were built for them and stuff like that. This is like a nice campsite under the pines. I might have to remember this one. Yeah. These are like pull-up sites. You don't have to, like, some of the ones in Michoud State Forest, you had to like hike in for quite a bit to get to your campsite, but these are kind of nice. There's a lot of open fields through here, so this was probably filled with different types of buildings and stuff. Yeah, just looking at my notes here, I found them in my other notebook. It does mention 7/17/35 to 10/1/37. So yeah, so from July 17th of 1935 to October 1st of 37. Looks like it was also called Camp Conley too, according to my notes. But yeah. Well, let's walk around a little bit more here, and we'll continue driving. And I said I gotta tell you what's on my mind. Like I said, someone made a comment in that intro video about the CCC and how it might pertain to things today. We'll talk about that. Of course, this is also not really the best time of year to come looking for stuff like foundations and stuff, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in on that building up there. Like I said, I think we'll pass that later, but you see that up there? That looks intriguing. We'll get up there in a bit. Yeah, but once again, a beautiful campsite. All right, we're gonna get back in the Jeep here soon. Keep driving around this loop, see what else we can find. Not really seeing any more foundations up here. Once again, we just had that one there. Not a super big foundation, but looks like you can see where the steps were over here. It's kind of an indentation right there. I think that's where the steps went up. There's more. It's like a little bit of a rock wall right there. I guess that's what it looks like. All right, let's get back in the Jeep. Keep looking. Like I keep saying it, but nice spot here. But I think there's a couple of other sites here. We'll see those too. I might chat with you a little bit in the Jeep about that topic. I gotta put my maps and stuff away though first. All right, let's keep driving here. Get going. Yeah, so the question that someone brought up was, should we have the CCC today? Should it be restarted? And that was an interesting question. I mean, we're not in a Great Depression or anything, but oh yeah, here's the other campsites. They're very close to each other. You do need a permit to stay at these, and then there's one over there too. I like the first one best. I think there might be one more. But yeah, just got off topic there. Yeah, we're not in a Great Depression anymore, but I was thinking about that. You know, part of me thinks it may not be a bad idea to start up something like it again. Just random little pieces. There's a... I guess that's just a rock. I thought that might be a piece of concrete down there, but... I think up here in this field is where most of the buildings would have been. Up in here is the other campsite up in here. Let's drive up in here. Through the mud. Maybe up here we'll talk about my thoughts. Well, there's two campsites, multiple campsites up here. Or is this all 23? Oh yeah, there's quite a few up here. You could have a whole group camping up here. Yes, there's multiple campsites in through here. I think there was one up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, this is a nice area. I think the one we were at earlier was down that way somewhere. Yeah, so throughout these woods there might be little scattered remains of foundations and stuff. I just don't know for sure. And some CCC camps were more permanent than others, if that makes sense. Some were very temporary. Maybe just had guys staying in tents or in wooden barracks that would have, you know, decayed over time. Not much left of anything. All right, let's talk about that topic. Should we restart the CCC? I have some interesting thoughts about that. And by the way, it is an absolutely beautiful day. It's supposed to be in the low 80s, but it doesn't feel like that up here. It's still morning yet. Yeah, I'm just thinking about camping here. But yeah, should we restart the CCC? Because like I said, this is not my idea. Someone mentioned this in a comment, and it was kind of interesting. Like I said, we're not into Great Depression or things like that, but you know, as a teacher, I teach, you know, and I'm going to give an example of that here in a moment, of an eye-opening situation. But our young people are not, it's interesting, they know how to operate a smartphone and do all kinds of stuff online, but they've lost basic skills. Years ago, I teach mostly science. I've taught history and math in the past and some other odd courses. A lot, you know, I work with homeschoolers, different homeschool groups. But one year at a smaller co-op, I taught a home improvement course. It was a very basic course. It ended up being even more basic than I thought, because, well, I'll tell you in a moment here, but yeah. We were working on just some basic stud work, like building a wall, you know, 2x4 wall, and they're going to put drywall on it and stuff like that, but it was slow going, because when it came time to hammer a nail into a piece of wood, yes, just hammering a nail into a piece of wood, there were 9 boys in the class. I'll give you a moment to try and guess. Of the 9 boys, you know, these are boys, you know, roughly 14 to 17 years old. Can you guess how many of them could actually hammer a nail through a piece of wood, you know, into another piece of wood below it, you know, and to do that, you know? I'll have to give you a moment to guess. But yeah, that was an eye-opening situation. And obviously it's a lower number because I'm bringing it up, but it just, and honestly, you know, there was some humor to it. We had a good time with it, you know, they laughed at each other and stuff, but I just never, when I started teaching that class, I just never thought I would run into that problem. You know, I grew up on a farm. I loved building things. I kind of knew how to do it. But I had to learn myself too. But I did realize that a lot of these boys or young men had never ever built anything in their life. You know, they never had to build anything, or they didn't need those skills. You know, and so they never used them. It was 2 out of the 9 could hammer a nail into the piece of wood. I won't describe the others. It was. We had a good time with it. Like I said, it was funny. I'm not making fun of them. I am in a way, but we were all having a good time with it. So, but yeah, it was interesting. So yeah. Our young people, hand them a phone, they can do amazing things on a phone with technology, but hand them a hammer and a nail, they don't know what to do with it. You know, and the reasoning could be, well, they don't need to, because, you know, they have other people do it for them. We live in a world where if something breaks down, you just call someone else to do it. But we've lost so many skills. It used to be that you grew up learning things, learning how to do repairs or basic stuff like that, but they don't anymore. I just kind of, the world we're entering, I don't know. It's a little bit scary with all this, AI technology and stuff, and people's jobs being taken over by AI and all kinds of stuff. But AI can't build a house, it can't do construction, it can't do brickwork, masonry, it can't do all that kind of stuff. Those are skills that still need people, but so many of our young people don't know how to do any of that stuff. They're told to go to college and get degrees in philosophy and humanities and all these, try to get all these high-paying jobs, be a doctor and a lawyer, but there's a lot of demand out there for just basic jobs, electrician and plumbing and, like I said, masonry, construction, but they just don't have the skills to do that. I just think it'd be a good idea to kind of reinstate these CCC camps in a way, have these young men, even the young women too, maybe to get some of them off the street, some of these inner city neighborhoods where they just, have nothing to do, take them to a camp, teach them, because that's the thing with these CCC boys, because it was during the Great Depression, it was meant to give them a job so they could send money home, but they also learned skills. They had they had older men there that knew how to, build roads and build buildings and do stonework, and they taught these men, they gave them skill. They didn't just earn money, but they earned skills. And they also had, when we get to the other camp today, I have a pamphlet, a little paper to read about, they brought educators in to teach these men. Some men probably didn't know how to read, or they did other things to help these men become better individuals. So we could do something like that today again, help our young people to learn skills that they could use, for a job or for different things. I don't know, just a thought. Because I was just thinking about, so many of our young people are just languishing in the streets and at home playing video games or surfing the web, or scrolling through their phone. And I don't know, bring them out here and teach them, teach them skills and trades. They can earn money by doing it too. I don't know. Even do it for, troubled young people as a way of helping them. Because a lot of young people that are in troubled situations, they're there because, they don't have a job, they don't have a career, they don't have any skills, they don't have any hope, Just some ideas. Let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, it'll be slightly different than the way it was in the Great Depression, but it's an idea. Maybe it's been tried before, but I don't know. Let me know what you think. All right, well, let's hop back in the Jeep. I still see that building up there. I think our road is gonna go, we'll get back to the road and go, I think it'll take us around that way. I hope it looks like it could be a CCC building. I see like a stone fireplace and stuff, a chimney. That would be cool. All right, let's hop to it. All right, let's get back to that main loop. A little bit squishy out here. I think some big storms came through here the other night. Just say today is June 11th of 25. Let's see if there's anything up here. Like I said, there's that building. What is this? 943, that sign says. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, maybe it's. Anyway, like a street number or something. Might be someone's cabin down there. Yeah, just looking around for other signs of buildings. Like all around here, it's fairly flat, so they could have had different buildings anywhere around here. I just don't see any more concrete. Of course, there's probably stuff, buried in that foliage and stuff. All right, where's this house or building? Here it is. Oh, this is Camp Conley. Boy Scout troop. Let's check this out. This building over here says Camp Conley, the Conley McMichael Memorial Camp. Continuous charter since 1917. Boy Scout troop number 3, St. Paul's United Methodist. So, wow. So I don't know if these were used during the CCC era. They could be. I mean, this one definitely has the CCC look, that beautiful chimney there. Of course, everything's locked up, as it should be. Wow. Yeah, that building's seen better days. The roof is collapsing in on it. Wow, I'd love to go inside. I can look through the windows here maybe. See myself. Huh. Well, quite a bit of a glare on the windows, sorry. So I'm gonna take a guess and say that this was built by the CCC. Just looks that way. I think we can look in this one. Oh, I can see the fireplace in there. Hopefully you'll be able to see through the glare. The fireplace back there. I don't think this gets used. It looks pretty rough in there. Random stuff. Anyway. Huh. Beautiful spot out here though. Hello, Mr. Yellow Jacket. Yeah. Needs some roof work done too. Some of you know what I might say. Thinking of saying that I could totally live here. Oh, we can look in this window too. Yeah, it looks like a lot of random chairs and things. Wow, this could be really fixed up nicely, I think. Kind of a shame it's just languishing here. It does have electric, which is active. Yeah, I think I'll move in. Beautiful spot. Yeah, so like I said, unless someone could correct me, but I'm going to guess that this is CCC built. It just has that look. Not sure about this one over here. It has a typical green and white military look to it. Could be from the same era though. Take a look back here. Huh. Neither building looks like it's really used anymore though. Wow. I'm ready to move in though. It just looks super peaceful. And it is peaceful back here. I hear a little bit of construction work. They're building a pipeline through here. There's a lot of pipeline traffic out that way, construction, but I hear a little bit of beeping off in the distance, but still, that won't last forever. So yeah, who wants to move in here with me? Beautiful spot. But I think we'll finish this loop, and I'll end the video down here. We'll just see if there's anything else to see down the way here. Alright, but that was a beautiful building. Like I said, you don't really know what's here sometimes. It's difficult to find information about these camps online. I mean, you can find basic information, but as far as finding out if there's anything left, it's a little bit difficult. Alright, I think this just takes us back, yeah. Oh, yeah, up there's that other, like, cabin, which I think, I don't know. I don't think is public, so I think I'll let that go. It looks private. But we'll take a look as we drive by. Up there it is. I don't think that's, I mean, it could be CCC related, I don't know, but it looks a little bit newer. Anyway. But that'll be it for this video then, folks. That was a fun one. Like I say, you just don't know what you're going to encounter at these different sites, if there'll be anything left or not. Yeah, and let me know what you think. Should we restart the CCC or something like it? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, we are going to head to another CCC camp today, Camp Bodine. But before we go there, we're going to head to what's called Jacoby Falls. We'll throw a waterfall in here first. All right, thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.